Hey guys, welcome to Joe Ciminera Presents. I'm Joe Ciminera. Today we're going to talk about making a documentary. So if you've ever wanted to make a documentary or tell the world about your story, here's some great tips coming up next. Okay, so what is a documentary? Now, documentary is basically real events, right? Aside from making a movie and a TV show, a documentary sort of tells the real side of different events. It could be a riot somewhere in Greece or discussing the GMOs that are put into the foods, etc. But documentaries are made, I always say, by real filmmakers, because usually if you could make a documentary, you can just about make anything, because there's an art to telling a story, putting a story together and sharing it with the world. There are different formats of doing it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but for the most part, a documentary is basically you grabbing a story, grabbing real events and conveying it and transferring it into this usually 90-minute film telling about that particular topic. So what you want to do when you're first making a documentary is really decide what topic you're going to make it. And a lot of people tell me which documentaries sell the best, right? Because they're always looking to get paid on it. But really, it really depends. I mean, you can make a really good documentary about, regular bicycles, and I've seen it done before. I have been involved in a lot of food documentaries, and I'm going to tell you that unless you really are prepared to do your research, don't step into a documentary, because you really got to know what you're talking about. So that's the first step. So you don't necessarily need a script. I've seen some filmmakers make a script for documentaries, but those are usually people who love to waste time and write scripts about everything anyway. So I think it's a complete waste of time. However, I would say their facts need to get straight and on point. You need to get the professionals in here. If you're not sure about something, like we had about 12 people on the panel for a food documentary that we were doing years back. And I remember having a conversation with one of the producers, and she said, well, you just know about food, and, we'll just interview chefs. I said, you really got to get experts. When you're talking about something, you want to make sure that your information is right. Otherwise, you're going to look like a complete jackass. So you want to try to definitely make sure that you spend the time doing it. Grab a topic that you like. You'll see your passion come through your film. If you're doing a documentary about food, but you hate food to begin with, don't do it. But if you love skateboards, do a documentary on skateboard. So that's the first thing. So there are a couple of things though that I want to talk to you about. And one of the, you have your verite style of documentary and filmmaking, which is basically, actual happenings. So let's just say you decided to go to China and you wanted to film what was going on there with the government and the riots and stuff like that. That would be a real happening, real-time documentary. You would get the footage and then turn it into a 90-minute program. Another one is a Talking Heads documentary. Talking Heads documentary is probably the more familiar documentaries that you've seen, where you have constant people doing a one-off interview. All of a sudden they get asked a question off camera, but they just kind of repeat it, off topic. Like they'll say, yes, I think vaccinations can cause illnesses and stuff like that. So they're repeating the question that usually the producer behind the scenes is telling them, and it sort of becomes almost like an interview documentary, which you're just constantly getting headshots of people talking, and you put it together in a nice flow. Another one is a narrative documentary that's usually done by people like A&E, History Channel. If you've seen The Men Who Built America, that was a great style of narrative documentary. One of the best that I've ever seen, so you should check that out. I am definitely a hardcore documentary fan. I like a good documentary. There's another one called performative documentary, and that's where directors themselves are put in the film. I seen a good one last week. It was called Heal. Check this one out. And this woman who was directing it was also putting together a documentary. It was very well done and talked about how strong mind over matter can be in healing the body and stuff like that. That's a good example of that. Impressionist are films and documentary styles where people and filmmakers really want to concentrate on the cinematography, right? You've seen some of those documentaries where, these guys will just go through great lengths and with equipment altitudes to get you that shot. And that's a perfect example. So if your forte is cinematography, you may want to go with that style of documentary. And then last is the Joe Ciminera style. The Joe Ciminera style is do what you want, put it together, make sure it makes sense, and don't abide by any rules. Grab your passion, grab what you want to do, grab your story, and if you want to mix a little bit of each style, there's nobody out there that can tell you that you can or can't do it. The bottom line is if your documentary is really well, it'll sell in other countries, you'll make money off it, and it'll win a lot of awards that will give you the recognition that you need for a stepping stone to do bigger and better things. But you know what I always say, grab that camera and start filming. Equipment wise, what do you need for equipment? I'm talking a lot lately about the iPhone 11. You can grab it on Amazon, Ulanzi, right? Ulanzi.com. So you put your phone here, your iPhone 11, and there's a lot of other things that add to it and stuff like that. But I thought that this was like a really, really cool. I mean, you're talking about when you're a documentary, you run and gun. Some people have a large crew, some people don't. I mean, if I'm going to a real remote area like a jungle or something, I like to have a big crew. But if I'm getting these small, little, hard to find places and I don't want to carry that much equipment and I'm doing mostly all the work, I'm going to grab something like this that's got your lights that you can put on, your sound, and put your actual iPhone 11 in here and start filming. There's even lenses that you can put on the iPhone 11 as well to capture more depth of field and stuff like that. But there's really a lot of cool stuff out there. So equipment wise, get your team assembled with that. And if you're the chief cook and bottle washer, then you want to make sure that you're going to grab something that you can put in one bag and then just go. If you're going to do a documentary in Sri Lanka and you want to travel light and you don't have a big budget, this is something you can use. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Documentaries. Grab your camera, make the film, and don't listen to anybody out there. You got an idea, grab your phone, start filming, put it together, and get it out there. Don't listen to anyone that tells you to wait, you're not ready, it's not the right time. If you feel in your heart you want to do it, go and do it right now.